Welcome back, everybody, and on today's episode of Operation Overhaul, we are working on a 2004 Runner Limited. Got the 3.4 in it. This is a tool drive. There will be 2 videos up on this, hopefully. We're going to be doing an oil pan gasket on this, and we're going to be doing a transmission filter on this. But first, what we're going to do, we're going to do an oil pan gasket on this first. And like I said, this is the tool drive model, so it's going to be a lot easier than the 4-wheel drive. The 4-wheel drive, you have to drop the front differential down to get access to the pan, but on this one you just have to drop the cover down on it, and then you can get to the oil pans pretty easy. So it's not really as much of a problem as it is on the 4-wheel drives. It does say that it still takes like 3.5 hours on this. From what I'm looking at, it should not take that long to do, but we will see what it takes once we get the bottom out. I've never changed one of these, so stick with me and we'll both be learning together on this one. Like I said, we're going to be taking this cover off first. It should have, looks like probably some 12 or 13 millimeter bolts. Looks like 3 on the front right here, and then possibly 2 or 3 on the back. I think it's only 2. I think it's 1. I can get to it right here and 1 right there, but there's 3 on the front. We're going to see if we can take it off with our impact driver. I believe it's 12s, yeah. Yeah, they're not really all that tight. I don't know if I have to put an extension on. I can't remember. I know I've taken these covers off many times, but never really paid attention. Go around y'all. I'll scoot y'all back. Got some may drop on you. I know there's like little tabs. Also going to be taking this one off too. It looks like there's probably 2 more bolts that hold that on. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain the oil on this, and then whenever I get through, I'll bring y'all back and we'll actually take the cover off for the transmission bell housing. And that way we can get into the back side of the oil pan, and then once we able to do that, we can start taking some of the pan bolts off, and then we'll get this wiring harness on the front of the engine off so we can get behind all that. We took the cover off now. It's just 5 little 12 millimeters I hold it on. You're probably gonna have to use a wrench to get some of them off, just because it is a little tight up against the engine between that and the oil pan. So we got that off, and let me show it to you real quick. I can get my arm underneath here. That's it. Like I said, there's 2 on that side, there's 2 in the middle, and then 1 on the back, and it goes up just like that. Now what we're going to do is, there is actually a wiring harness piece on the front. That's it right there, that little white piece. We are going to disconnect that so we can get to the bolts underneath here, because there are some bolts for the oil pan right there. So we're going to disconnect that. You can either disconnect it right there, or there's some 10 millimeters on the front that is, I think it's behind that little pulley right there. But you can disconnect it there and move it out of the way if you want to. So we're going to move that, and then I'll start taking the oil pan bolts off. And I think from the factory it's just silicone. They do make a gasket for it, but I bought the gasket. I don't know if I'm going to use it. I may just use straight silicone, use some Permatex Right Stuff, and see if that is to my liking, and we'll see once we get the oil pan off. Alright, we got all the bolts out for the oil pan. There are 17 bolts and then 2 nuts, so it makes 19 total. And now all we have to do is to pull the pan off. We're probably gonna have to separate it from the engine because it does have silicone on there, but just make sure you have an oil pan ready because it will drip oil no matter what, because it's going to be all over the crank and all that good stuff. Alright, she's coming down now. Now I pushed it back to where it's sitting on the back cross member, and then I'm going to lower the front down first. And there we go. The pan is off. Now I'm going to slide my drain pan underneath there just in case anything is dripping. I don't want it to drip on the concrete as little as possible, and then we're going to clean this pan. I'm going to see how much debris is in it. The car does have 200,000 miles. And now we can go and look and see what it looks like on the inside. So here it is. Doesn't look too bad inside. Now we're going to dump the rest of this oil out. And looks like some pieces of like an old gasket is in here, but nothing major. So we're going to clean this off, and then we're going to clean the outside as well. And then we'll put the new gasket on there, and she should be good to go. I'm going to clean the surface off on the engine block as well, and probably spray down everything with some brake cleaner just to get everything clean. Here's the pan. We got it all cleaned up inside and out. It was pretty dirty right here on the front, so I took it and put some degreaser on there. And this is what I'm going to be using, Loctite high performance RTV gasket maker. And there's these little grooves in here. I'm just going to go down all the way around it and just put like a thin layer. It's probably going to come out a little thick, but that's all right for right now. I'm going to smooth it out. I always like to push just a little bit out, that way we got like a tail to pull whenever it dries. But I'm just going to run my finger over it, and it may look like a lot, but I'm spreading it really thin on here. Just it come out in a really thick layer, and you can see right there how much excess is out on here. And I'll get all this extra out of here. Like I said, it just come out in a big glob, and I don't really like that it did that, but I had to cut the tip off pretty big the last time I used this stuff. I'm just wiping the excess off on my old glove. I really should be using a glove on my hand while I do it. And that way, if I feel like it's a little too thin in certain areas, the excess, I can go back and fill it in. But also, I like to let this sit just for a few minutes and let it cure just for about 5 minutes or so. That way it hardens up a little bit, and it's kind of like a rubber gasket. So we're gonna let that sit for about 5 minutes. I do have the block clean. It's got to do one more final wipe down on it before I go to put this back in. About to put the oil pan in. It's been sitting for probably around 10 minutes or so, and I put a little bit of silicone where the front case meets the block, just because there can be a little bit of a difference on the thickness. of the block, or there could be like a mismatch area. So put a little bit of silicone on that where the front case meets the main block, and that way it'll kind of eliminate that as a leak area. I like to do that on just about any engine that has that type of situation, like where a front timing cover meets like a cylinder head or an engine block or something. But like I said, we do have this ready to put on. I'm gonna do the same thing I did last time. Stick the back in as much as I can, and I'm gonna try to move this out of the way. It is a little tricky getting this, and you're probably gonna get some silicone in some areas you don't want it to. And I'm hitting it all, and I didn't mean to. Why are you not going up? There it goes. As it is a little tricky to do. I see one issue. That dipstick is hitting. There it goes. And there's two little dowels, or studs if you will. I'm going to start those first. Also, be prepared to get a lot of silicone on you. There it goes. There's another nut. If y'all can't see anything, sorry about that. I'm just trying to get it up here before it falls back down again. Alright. Now I'm going to start all these with my impact driver, and then I'll go back and torque it. And the torque spec on this is pretty low. It doesn't take a lot, and you can break these bolts off fairly easy. Believe me, I've done it before. But it only torques to, I think, 9 foot-pounds. I'll look it up again just to be safe, but I'm thinking it said 9 foot-pounds. So let me go ahead and start all these, and then whenever I come back to torque it down, I'll bring y'all back and let y'all know exactly what the torque spec is. Alright, we got the pan on, and it does torque to 9 foot-pounds. And here's the filter that I got for it. It is a Wix 51348, and then we're putting 530 in here, and we're putting Mobile One synthetic, and that's just what I like to use. You can use whatever you like to, but it does call for, I think, about 5.5 quarts on this with the filter. So I do have to put the filter on, and take it out of the plastic, put a little bit of oil on the seal, and hand tighten it, and it does go right below the alternator down in here. I like to go from the front of the engine where the front shield is, go up and over the cross member. That's just a personal preference of mine. Whichever way you can get to it, you do that. Whichever is more comfortable for you, but that's more comfortable for me to do it that way. So we got the pan on, we got the cover on, put the wiring harness back on there. Everything is torqued down. I just got to put oil in it. I'm just going to put the oil filter on there, and I'm going to let it sit for a little bit before I actually put oil and crank it up, just because I want to let that silicone harden a little bit. I'm probably going to let it sit here for a few hours, just that way I know that it's good and cured a little bit. But let me put this on here, and before I get ready to crank it up, I will bring y'all back and show you that it is running and all that good stuff. The oil pan has been sitting for a while. We changed the transmission pan and filter kit while we're waiting for that. That will be on the next video. But I'm going to go ahead and fill up the oil and crank it up and let it run and all that other stuff, just to make sure nothing is leaking. We got the covers back on, and everything seems to be good on that. Like I said, all I got to do is just crank it up, make sure that nothing's leaking, and that should be everything on changing an oil pan on a two-wheel drive. And like I said, on the 4-wheel drive, you will have to drop the front differential down to get access to this. But this is, I can't remember if I showed y'all, but this is the oil that I'm using, 5W30 Mobil 1. Use whatever you like, it's up to you, but this is just what I like to put in my cars. But I guess this is going to conclude this video. If y'all got any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comment section. I will fix it if I did something wrong in the comment section below. As always, have the Patreon, the Instagram, all that stuff, shirts, hats, stickers. If y'all want any of that, hit me up on Instagram. I will get it to you. I know I'm forgetting something, but if you liked the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you didn't, let me know why you didn't like it. You know, I mean, everybody's got likes and dislikes. Just let me know what I did wrong and I'll try to fix it on my next videos. But y'all remember, torque this tight, and y'all have a great day.